Hey, you with the Italian sports guys. Bada-Boom.
Bada-Bing.
And this is the Brian Scheck State Farm Sports Coverage Show. Of course, Kyle, if you want insurance coverage, you go to Brian Scheck. But
if you want sports coverage, you come to these guys.
These guys right here, okay? Looking back to the past weekend, of course, the New Orleans Saints, the big question on the minds of the Saints fans this last weekend was to Drew or not to Drew. A lot of folks thought that...
We
drew, that's right.
Drew it.
A lot of folks, the consensus among the fans, I think to some extent, was let this guy rest one more time, get the bye week, 2 more weeks of rest, and get him back fully healthy. But this guy's just not wired that way, Kyle. He really wanted to get on the field.
Well, not only that, but he's earned it, too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the cornerstone player in the history of your franchise. He's the best Saint ever.
Yeah.
You have to say it. I don't want to sound disappointed. You know, there's others that come to mind that we grew up watching, but he's the guy with the most on the wall now.
Yeah.
And so when he says he's ready to play and he's ready to play, then he's earned it. And that's what you do with your franchise player.
Yeah.
You let him play.
Yeah, and of course, great job done by Teddy Bridgewater. The fans certainly showed their appreciation at the game and around town this last week.
If it comes to the franchise being turned over to him next year, year after, whatever, whenever, if it happens with Teddy Bridgewater, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we'll be okay with that, that's for sure. Again, I think there was some benefit also to getting his first week back, getting him into a friendly environment. Of course, we had the home field crowd. A team we're supposed to, even though this team had won 3 straight coming in, this is an Arizona team we're supposed to beat, and I think we did what we needed to do.
But you look at the word "supposed to beat." That all those things that add up to a trap game.
Yeah, right.
A team that started out bad, so they kind of fall off everyone's radar. Then they seem to get it together under Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and whatnot, and start to put things together and win 3 in a row. That's a team coming in with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the Saints defense, the Saints overall, shut them down. But I get what you're saying. It's a trap game, and Drew's got you have to answer, and you did.
Yeah. And you look at the numbers. The first half, the Saints only went in with a 10-6 lead. Of course, we let some opportunities slip away. Really dominant statistically. Drew struggled a little bit in the first quarter, but really got geared up in the second quarter. We had a 2-1 advantage in plays and yardage. We really, again, shut down the run once again. But some missed opportunities in that first half.
Yeah, missed a field goal. And then the last play of the first half, of course, we had no timeouts left. They showed one on the scoreboard, but we were out. In the last play of the half, the Saints scored a touchdown, but there was a penalty and 0 time on the clock. They don't put time back on the clock on an offensive penalty, and that was it. So, went in with the 10-6 lead.
Yeah, so it kept this team kind of hanging around a little bit. Second half kind of interesting. Drew throws an early pick, just a bad decision he admitted to later. But
he said he got greedy.
Yeah, got greedy, but one play really kind of changed the momentum of this ball game, and Arizona goes for it deep in their own territory, 29-30 yard line, 4th and 1. The Saints stuff it, of course. So as good as they've been against the run, that's a tough yard to make. And from there, Saints won and scored and kind of put them away from there.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury used the comment, the analytics plus what I felt were the reason. Man, you have to see what you see.
Yeah.
You were 5 for 5 on 4th down this season going forward coming into this game. But look, and you put yourself way behind the mark there. Yeah. And that's not good to do that to a team with a young offense and a defense that had been on the field a good bit already. So they paid the price for it. Bad call.
I'm much more forgiving, I think, if that's ball's 45, 50 yard line. I mean, you got to look at the risk reward on this, right? I mean, if you make the first down, it doesn't guarantee you points anyway.
Right, right.
You still
you're not in field goal range.
That's right. You're 31, 32 yard line. You still got a long way to go. So I don't think the reward warrants the risk that they took here, and certainly the Saints put away. I get a short pass to Latavius Murray. Boy, he was the workhorse again this week. I think I saw a stat where Alvin Kamara only had 30 touches in one game in his career, and I think Latavius Murray's done it 2 weeks since Alvin Kamara's been out hurt.
Yeah, he ran for over 100 yards for the second straight week in a row, and he also, by the way, caught 9 passes from Drew Brees. You can see that stuff open up where we are in the dome. You can kind of see sometimes you see before the quarterback or the safeties do, depending. And you could see it open up when they trail him out, kind of a delayed influence a little bit on the edge rusher and then slip out into the flat. There was nobody around him. So you knew if nobody was open downfield, you could see Drew check down and go right to him. It was great, but a fantastic game.
Yeah, and one thing, this is when we saw Latavius Murray the first few games of the season, they used him very sparingly. I mean, Kamara really was the workhorse in those ball games. You thought it might be a more 50-50 mix, but it was really mostly Kamara. And I think what this is allowing the Saints to do is, number one, they can take their time getting Kamara back. You want to make sure he's healthy for the postseason. And even when he comes back, I think you're going to see more of a balance. Because what I think you want a fresh Kamara for the postseason.
Absolutely.
And one that perhaps the teams haven't seen a lot of film on, at least late in this year.
Well, and look at Murray early in the season as to now. And you can tell now he's 100% comfortable with the playbook.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into that. It's not just knowing where to go and what plays that's called. It's what about the checkdowns? What about the check the lines, the audible system? Then how good are you at picking up the blitz? Not can you block or can't you? We know he can.
Right.
What made Mark Ingram so invaluable was that he was able to understand exactly when the blocking scheme changed.
Yeah.
And the Saints offense just in. It's a complicated offense, okay? And now he seems to have a full grasp of everything, including the blitz pickups and whatnot. So they run the full arsenal of plays. And if you don't have a guy back there who knows what he's doing completely, like when you change teams, it happens a lot, then you can't open up the playbook entirely. And don't put Sean Payton in that position because you'll find yourself on the bench. Now he's ready.
Yeah. And something that's worth mentioning because we take it so for granted, Mike Thomas just phenomenal again. 11 catches, 112 yards. I mean, he's on the pace. We're halfway season now, so it's you look at the numbers. 73 catches, 875. That's a 146 and 1750 pace. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is on pace to break, I believe, Rodney Harrison's single season record, and just shows up every week, no matter who the quarterback is.
Yeah, it really speaks to his physicality, and because you know that these teams are coming into these games saying this is the guy we have to take away,
right.
And he still gets open. He's just so hard for these defensive backs, too physical for these guys to keep him from getting open.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the hard work that he puts in, and that doesn't mean he lifts a lot of weights or he runs hard at practice. Also means that the timing is there with the quarterbacks. Yeah. He's willing to put that time in. And, I mean, right now, what's his Twitter handle? Can't guard Mike. I think it's true at this point.
Hard to argue that at this point. Again, a dominant performance, 5'10 to 237 yardage-wise. Again, the fifth straight game, this phenomenal defense has held a team to under 260 yards. And these are teams that are doing well against other teams. You look at these other games they've played in recent weeks, doing well. Only 40 yards rushing. We mentioned
that's mind-boggling.
That's mind-boggling. We mentioned there was one 19-yard run. You got a running quarterback, so you would think they would have a better effort than this running football.
That's the part that stands out to me. Is like you said, a running quarterback. Look, when you shut down the run in the manner in which the Saints shut down the run, you make that opponent, no matter who it is, one-dimensional. Yeah. And when you make a team one-dimensional, you pin your ears back and go after it. And they got to Kyler Murray. I think they sacked him 4 times and pressured him throughout.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you look at, I think this, counting the postseason, I believe this is 33 consecutive games without a 100-yard rusher for the opponent. So, again,
that's unbelievable.
Stats. And again, I think this defensive rotation on a defensive line is really setting this defense up for success.
Yeah, they had 4 sacks, 1.5 by Shy Tuttle.
Yeah, right. How about
the unsung hero, if there ever was one. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah.
5 tackles, a pass breakup, and a tackle for loss. Kid's really coming into his own.
Yeah, I tell you, we plugged him in last week. They brought him along slowly, but plugged him in last week and did a phenomenal job as a starter, and then comes back again this week, back-to-back weeks. Maybe what made, so they have a little bit of play in that defensive backfield now. Ken Crawley seems to be expendable now, so
yeah.
With a little bit of depth there now.
Right.
Any other thoughts on the Saints, Scott, before we move on? We got 4 straight, I believe, division games coming off the bye, so we're a couple weeks out.
Yeah, this is where you really can separate yourself. They're already 2.5 games ahead of Carolina, and boy, you can really put some distance now if you run the gamut right here. So.
Yeah, you look at this, NFC shaping up pretty tough. I mean, you got a really good, undefeated San Francisco team with a phenomenal defense, and you've got also, of course, the Green Bay Packers are 7-1 now. But I'll tell you again, we seem to have an advantage in terms of the weakness of our division now, the way things are playing out.
Wasn't like that a couple of short years ago.
That's right, a couple of short years ago. So we can maybe perhaps gain some ground and maybe separate ourselves even when you talk about that jockeying for a bye in the NFC.
All we have to do is finish with the same record as San Francisco. We get a shot at them in the Dome later this season. So if we're even Steven there, then we'll win that battle by winning that game. Green Bay be another story. I mean, it's a lot different playing in a dome than it is at Lambeau Field, if you're going up there for all the marbles in the NFC. So time will tell. A lot of football left before we get to that point. Let it play out. So.
That's for sure. And moving to LSU Tigers, another test that they passed. They continue to pile up these wins against outstanding teams, I think, top 10 teams. So you look at LSU, leapfrogging Bama to the number 1 spot. Now, it's kind of academic. They'll be 1-2 going into this head-to-head game anyway, but that may give
this year's game of the century.
May give Nick Saban a little bit of a.
That's the only part where you say, if there's any like he needs a psychological advantage.
Yeah, right.
It's almost like, he's probably snickering saying, I was hoping this would happen. So now he's walking around a practice field in Tuscaloosa talking about how they get a shot at the number 1 team.
Yo, you're disrespecting me. You're disrespecting me.
You watch your mouth.
Yeah. But anyway, LSU dominated statistically again. They left a lot of points, like the Saints in the first half. They left a lot of points out there. But 2-1, 30-16 in first downs, 508 to 287. So Joe Burrow very efficient, 32 of 42. So he picked his spots and was really distributed the ball well.
Yeah, I think going to what you said first, the defense. You held Auburn, the leading Russian team in the SEC and one of the tops in the country, to 287 yards total offense while racking up 508. Unbelievable. I mean, that's a big gap right there. And Joe Burrow, just his toughness. Look, like he said, he said when you beat a top 10 team in your conference with a defense like Auburn has, and you come out on top and feel like you haven't played a good game and you left a lot of plays out there in the field, that's the sign that you are a good team.
Yeah.
So that's really something that they can use as a positive going forward is, look, we left a lot of points out on the field. We didn't get it done in the red zone like we had been all season, and all of a sudden, we still won.
Yeah.
So you got something to work on and something to build confidence on too.
No question. And you look at this matchup, Joe Burrow, this team is going to have to play better against Bama. I think certainly I mentioned in terms of leaving points out there. But I do like the fact that they had balance, 321 and 187 rushing. So, again, we've been able to spread out teams and go more passing-oriented at times this season. But I think certainly against a team like Bama, you're going to have some kind of balance.
Well, it goes back to what LSU has been able to do in just about every game this year, and that's their offensive line has been able to win that battle in the trench.
Yeah.
Okay, in the trenches. You're not going to get tested more than anybody in the country than you will with Bama, because every year Bama beats us in the trenches for the last 8 years, and that's proven to be the difference in the game, and by a lot.
Yeah.
So if LSU's offensive line can answer the bell, and look, it's a different offense. A quick passing game alleviates a lot of that. The ability of Clyde Edwards-Helaire to really turn into a marquee running back. He was LSU's best, and he was good, but he's really gone next level these last few weeks. They need to maintain that. Need to have somebody, maybe Terrion Davis-Price, come off the bench and give another dimension there as well. But if they can keep 9 upright and give them just enough time to throw, there's not a team in the country that's got defensive backs, Alabama included, that can go toe-to-toe with LSU's receivers when healthy. So
yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, he continues to impress you with his decision-making. He's just quick to get rid of the ball and throwing over the middle specifically. I'm just so impressed with the way he's getting rid of the ball.
The legend of Joe Burrow has a chance to go way to the top of the list of a storied line of LSU quarterbacks, minus most of the Les Miles here. Going back to the Y.A. Tittles and the Burt Joneses of the world. So
yeah, we'd like to have a little bit of that 200-1 money on the Heisman race on Joe Burrow.
I'm telling you right now. But this is a guy, who's a little bit of a coach on the field. And what I mean by that is nothing's enough. Yeah. He wants more. And he is going to have to be the difference. He's played great all season. This can be his marquee Heisman moment right here.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course, we have the bye.
Or it could be Tua's.
Yeah,
so we'll have to see.
Of course, we have the bye week with both the Saints and LSU, so you get out to see Rumble and John Curtis this weekend if you need a great ball game to go see.
Top game in the New Orleans area, South Louisiana now.
No doubt about it. Want to give a quick note to the fantastic World Series that we just finished. Of course, it goes 7 games, all the road teams winning every game, and this Nationals team, we spoke about it before the show a little bit. Certainly this team, one of those teams of destiny that really, look, they had 5 elimination games when they trailed in all 5 and came back and won it. You look back at that Dodgers game 5 in the deciding game of that series, 2 solo home runs off of Clayton Kershaw to tie it up and win it with a grand slam in extra frames, and then they go to Houston and win 2 to close it out.
Yeah, unbelievable. You hear the term team of destiny over the years in sports, but some teams just fit that mold. I thought the 2003 Florida Marlins, blame Steve Bartman all you want. Our Cubs had another shot to come back and play, and they didn't get it done. That team went on to win the World Series. There are certain teams that just seem to always, it doesn't take much for them to turn it on, and then it snowballs in a good way in terms of run production. And that Washington Nationals team was every bit of that, They got the Verlander twice. Greinke gutted it out in D.C. for his road win over there when he didn't have his best stuff.
Yeah.
Flipped the switch here. He was rolling last night. Max Scherzer really struggled, it looked like, but gutted it out.
Yeah.
And the Nationals hung around long enough to win. The Astros left a lot of opportunities on the table.
Oh, they left a lot of runners on base. They had a chance when they were up 2 to really put this team away and get some distance, and they failed to do so. Left them in the ball game hanging around. What do you think about the big question? Is the decision by the manager Hinch to go ahead and pull. Greinke was pretty dominant up until the point he gives up 1 solo home run and a walk, and he pulls them at that point at a 2-1 ball game. What do you think about that decision?
Nowadays that's just the way they do it. I'm not saying I agree with it. I mean, if you feel like he can keep going, look, Will Harris hadn't let him down yet.
Yeah.
Okay, this bullpen hasn't really let him down much. So I get the move. You leave him in, and he gives up another long ball, then you got a different story on your hands. I don't understand. I know you want your starter Cole to come in a fresh inning, but at that point, you need your best guy to get out.
Yeah.
And so if that's the guy you have to go to, that's the guy you have to go to. And people are talking now about Cole's dismissive attitude and verbiage today about the Astros, about the city, about almost like he's already gone.
Yeah.
And I think some of that has to do with the fact that he wanted to come in and they didn't play him, and this is him barking back a little bit. That's just my personal read on the deal. And it goes back to analytics a lot too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I don't love the analytics on this whole deal. It's kind of changing the game so much to where they're afraid to make a decision because a lot of times reporters are throwing the analytics back in their face after the game. Well, sometimes you got to go with what you feel.
Yeah.
Difference is if you do the analytics and it fails, you can say the analytics.
Right.
When you say that you do make a move based on gut feel as a manager and it doesn't work, then you're the scapegoat. You're the whipping boy. Yeah. Okay. A major league analyst on MLB radio today said, I grew up, I'm a Sparky Anderson fan, okay? Right. And Sparky Anderson didn't need 7 geeks from UCLA with a spreadsheet to tell him that a guy was a good hitter or a bad hitter or a good pitcher or a bad pitcher. He played him. So that's a lot of where analytics is taking over to where it's so quick to be thrown in the face of the manager. So I don't like that part of it.
Won a series with the Reds and with the Detroit Tigers. So
that's right.
Pretty impressive. I think 14 years apart. Look, I generally think these managers are too quick to go to the bullpen, but in this case, I really can't fault it. I mean, you want to take them out one pitch too soon rather than one pitch too late, as you mentioned. Again, you go to the bullpen. You can argue, like you said, that they should have went to a different pitcher instead of waiting for the next inning, but I'll tell you that the home run he hit off the foul pole was a tough pitch. It's a pitch away. He goes down and digs it out and hits it right down the line. It's a tough pitch to hit, and they're still in the ball game there at 3-2. So can't fault it in this specific. Sometimes you make a decision and it may not be the wrong decision. Just doesn't work out. These guys make plays.
Well, what did General Patton say? You make a decision and go like hell with it.
That's right.
Okay. Look again. Will Harris hadn't let him down all. He's been one of their best relievers, if not the best one in middle relief from throughout the postseason. And like you said. The guy went out and dug a pitch that was low and away and hit it on its way down, hit the foul pole. That's a few feet from being a long strike. So, you can go back and play what if, and hindsight's 20/20. But I get what he did, and I get why he did it.
Yeah, of course, the Washington Nationals win for the first time since 1924, when, of course, manager Bucky Harris took them to 7 games and
won. Were you there?
And won. Yeah, it was a good game. I was really impressed. They beat the New York Giants. I think
he's all chomp. He's all talk.
They beat the New York Giants. I think Frank Gifford played for that team.
There you go, right? Wyatt Tittle. Charlie Connolly.
Shout out also to the MVP of that series, Steven Strasburg. Again, we came into this league with so much promise. First overall draft. He comes in. They shut him down one season. I think it was his first season or maybe second, where he was late in the year. Was a little bit injured. They were critical of the move because they had a chance. They were going to the playoffs, a chance to go a long way, maybe win. But they said no. We're looking at the long term, and it really
and that's tough to do.
That's tough to do. I mean, it's always we live in the moment, the now. But again, he's become a dominant pitcher in this league and was an MVP. And won the big game 6 to get it to that game 7. They had to go ahead and shut him down there, and they did.
And that decision to do it's so hard because your team's on a roll. It's they're not an expansion team per se, but they're a team that moved there from Montreal. But they were still new. They were still building their brand, and so you say, why not ride this kid? We'll take the gamble. It's worth it right now. But they did it the right way, and now you have that fan base for life. You just won a World Series in Washington D.C.
Yeah, right.
Last championship they had was the Senators or the Capitals or whatever the hell the name of their
hockey
team is.
Yeah. So looking past the World Series. The Pelicans, a little disappointing early on. We'll get to them more later in the season. Of course, Zion's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Drew Holiday hasn't been 100%. They played 3 competitive games, but lost all 3, and then lost pretty decisively to the Warriors yesterday. But hopefully they'll get some guys
Halloween
back.
Classic later on tonight against the Nuggets.
Yeah, hopefully get some guys back healthy and turn things around. Just want to give a couple of quick shout-outs. The Italian sports guys are taking the show on the road next week. Next Thursday will be for the men's club.
At St. Philip Neri School in Metairie, Louisiana. We're going to be the guest speaker over there, so we'd love to tell you go get your tickets, but it's a sellout. So hopefully we'll have some video that we'll be able to post up maybe. But all seriousness, really looking forward to going over there and meeting with those guys. It's great what they do for the school, for the Archdiocese, so we're proud to be a part of that.
Yeah, maybe you get lucky on StubHub, get a shot, get in the door there.
SeatGeek.
That's right, SeatGeek, there you go. I want to give, of course, a shout-out, as always, to our sponsors, Brian Scheck State Farm, for all your insurance coverage needs on North Causeway in Metairie, and also to Luca Eats.
7329 Cone Street, Uptown, on the corner of Cone and Lower Line, not far from Tulane University, Roll Wave. And go over there and get yourself a big Luca. Great for breakfast and lunch, 7 days a week, 7 to 2:30, 504-866-1166 if you want to call your order.
That's right. And Tulane's been a little up and down lately, but Luca Eats...
Most waves are.
But that's right, most waves are. But Luca Eats consistent every time. Good
that's
stuff.
Right, that's right. And the Wave will get back on the winning track this week against
All right, folks, it'll be a little bit slow this week with no LSU, no Saints, but we'll be back on top of the following week. We are
the Italian Sports Guys.
Bada-Boom.
Bada-Bing.